And I want to welcome everyone to tonight's presentation. Hello, I am Christy Mahon. I own Dream Vacations Escape Artist Holidays, and I am happy to have you here tonight. We are doing something very special this evening. This is our 30th We Will Travel Again events Thursday night destination travel event. I'm very excited about it. And we are doing something rather special tonight. We are jetting all the way to Tahiti and French Polynesia. And there's no other company I would rather do this with than Paul Gauguin Cruises. And tonight I am joined by Liz Coleman. Hello, Liz.
Hello. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. We have been doing these events now for a long time. And honestly, the reason I do them is because I want to make sure everybody stays connected to their dreams about vacationing. Most people aren't quite ready to take the leap just yet, but this is a great time to be thinking about it, to cook up those dream vacations, right? To allow yourself, to give yourself permission to daydream up that next great adventure. And one of the really amazing things about the vacation we're talking about tonight, the destination we're talking about tonight, is that a lot of people think it's out of reach for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's on the other side of the planet from the New York, New Jersey metro area, which is where I'm based. But it also has this overlying expectation that it's burdensomely expensive, or that you couldn't possibly do it without it being complicated. Well, first of all, no and no. And we're going to discover those things tonight. So I would like very much to ask Liz to go ahead and share her screen. And while she's doing that, I'm going to explain to all of you guys. Feel free to make comments in the chat box, and I'll be sure to pay attention to that while Liz is doing her presentation. And we're going to hear about these amazing islands and the way you can visit them with this wonderful cruise line. It's a boutique luxury experience, small ship, outstanding service, really a remarkable experience. I've had clients on this cruise line before, and they still haven't stopped talking about it. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Liz to take away the show. Thanks, Liz.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better introduction. That was awesome. Thank you so much. It is exciting to be here, and I really appreciate you organizing this time with your clients today, because this is one of the best kept secrets. It's one of these places rather, that people do dream about experiencing, but they don't always tell you about that dream because they don't think it can come to fruition.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, Christy, it is possible. You can truly get there from
here.
You
really can.
So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit more about really the destination and why it holds such appeal, and then what are some of the best ways how to experience the destination. But Shirley, can we see ourselves in this photo right here?
Right there with a little
right
cocktail.
There.
Perfect.
I know. And you know what? The thing about these images, when you look at some of the pictures, you're like, no, that was Photoshopped. And I can tell you that in person, you're like, this is crazy. It's absolutely beautiful. But one of the things that does attract people about it is the fact that it is a non-commercialized part of the world. It's untapped territory, right?
Yes.
And I think now more than ever, Christy, it's one of these places that we've been all kind of held captive for a long time.
Yes.
We're ready to explore, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm so stuck in these four walls, aren't we all?
I know. And so the world is our oyster, but I always like to start with the map because you said it. We're both on the East Coast. And because we're on the East Coast, anything west of the Mississippi really feels far away.
Right. It's true.
Would you agree to that with that?
I do. And it's that plane ride. Nobody loves getting on a plane. Nobody loves getting on a plane. So the thought of being on a plane for a long time really can spook people from grasping their arms around a destination like this.
So the best way to explain this is if you can get yourself to Los Angeles, right, from coast to coast, it's about 6 hours. And from Los Angeles into Papeete, Tahiti, it's about 8 hours. I bet you have clients that have done Hawaii, right?
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
like, oh yeah, I've done that. It's easy. Well, we just
Right.
say it's one more movie and a drink beyond. How about
That's
that?
right.
But here are some fun facts, is that we are equidistant south of the equator as Hawaii is north of the equator,
Oh,
okay? We are on the same time zone, and we're also on the same weather pattern. So LA into Hawaii is 3 hours behind. So LA into Tahiti, it's the same time zone. So I just like to put that, because then when you start to understand exactly where it
yeah.
is and how to get there, it's like, wow, that might be possible after all.
Yeah.
So some also think like, well, a ship, I really never thought about cruising in Tahiti. And I know this is, your specialty is cruising among other things, but a lot of people think about the overwater bungalow. When I
Yeah.
would just say, this is your floating overwater
It
bungalow.
is. It's a perfect analogy, truly.
Yeah, I honestly, and I do think if you can add maybe a pre or a post,
Mhm.
that makes like the chicken and the egg, right? Like the whole
Yes.
grand enchilada. But I do think this is the most seamless, the most effortless way to explore a territory. And it is a small vessel. It's just over 300 guests, 165 staterooms. And by the way, Christy, we just came on a dry dock, right?
Can't even imagine you making it better.
I know. So all the soft goods, all the common areas completely redone. But these are just some photos of the absolute pristine natural part of the
Oh,
world that you can really just really gawk at, because
yeah.
our territory. When I say untapped territory, Christy, people don't realize this, but we get as much tourism in 1 year as Hawaii gets in 1 week. Can you imagine that?
No, that's some really good perspective right there. Wow.
Right, right. I mean, and I think a lot of us have taken stock over the last year of what's important to us. And a
Mm,
lot of us have said, what areas of the world do I want to explore? What do I want to learn more about? Whether it's by land, and certainly we all know that Tahiti, French Polynesia, and by the way, that term is interchangeable. The name itself is, the formal name is French Polynesia, but we do interchange that with Tahiti and her islands, because really people are thinking about going to other places
yes.
besides the big island of Tahiti.
Yes.
So, but can you see yourself paddleboarding or kayaking off the back of the ship? I mean, how fun is that?
Ugh. The last clients I sent on one of these cruises, the gentleman was a nature photographer,
Oh my
and
gosh. Yes.
he was in heaven the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, anywhere you look, right?
Mm,
So one of the other things that I think incents us to travel is learning about people that are different than ourselves, right?
very
And
much.
these French Polynesians are so warm, so hospitable. Music and dance is a part of who they are. So what we do is we bring those French Polynesians, they live with us on the ship. We have 7 international hosts. So by day, they're running different activities. They're teaching maybe some Tahitian dance, ukulele, pareo tying, and then in the evening, they're entertaining us as well. So, entertainment. So you might think this is during the day, there's lots of activity. And if you are doing a land program at night, it's quite sleepy. So that's why another reason people like the ship is because there's always something going on, not only with our enrichment program during the day, but we also bring in different guest hosts. So whether it's a lecture program, marine biologists, historians, winemaker, I mean, it's sort of an eclectic group. But there's also performances by our, locals as well, which I think adds really some interest, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we want to learn about where we're going and how we got there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my big reason for traveling myself is that it really can change your perspective of the world and how you fit in it. It kind of changes everything. Everything shifts the more you let another place in. And going to these places and immersing yourself in cultures really does change everything.
I almost feel like the more you understand people that are not like yourself is not only humbling, but it makes you a kinder person.
Yes.
At least that's my my perspective.
And a floating cocktail bar is also an excellent idea.
I think that's a great perspective, right? So we include everything from round trip economy airfare, all your meals, all your wines and spirits, anytime and anywhere. And then we also provide these beach days. Okay, can you see yourself doing that? How is that? I mean, it's pretty amazing, right? So it's one of these things, Christy, where I feel like it's a fully customizable experience, totally on your terms. You can engage when you want, how you want, when you want, or if you want to watch the world go by, you can just hang out on the ship and just take it all in. I also think that we love to pamper ourselves. Probably now is a good time. So we do have a spa on board as well. And oh boy, doesn't that just look so good?
But look at that view. I mean, that's a perfect way to spend a few hours. That suits me to the ground.
I know. You know, this is a place for special celebrations. I mean, a lot of people think of honeymoons, anniversaries. And so for anybody that's out there that says, you know what, we've spent a lot of time together, we should reward ourselves. We should recognize our 25 years together, even if it was 2 years ago or if it's 2 years coming up. There's no time like the present. And it is a complimentary blessing ceremony that we offer, and it is indicative of what they practice in the islands today, and it's a lot of fun. So Christy, now I'm going to transition and just show you a couple of the itineraries and what's different about each one of them. So we go to 3 out of the 5 French Polynesian islands, the archipelagos. The biggest, or I would say the most popular island, is the Society Island. And this 7-night sailing is actually included on all of our itineraries. It's, you know, people know the word name Tahiti, right? They've heard of Bora Bora. And so when someone says they're going to Tahiti, lots of times they're talking about Bora Bora. Or maybe
Moorea, right?
Or Moorea,
it's
absolutely.
All of them, kind of like you said before,
them.
interchangeable, right?
Absolutely. So this is always included, and there is a pronunciation guide, ladies and gentlemen, should you ever need one. So huahine and ta'a. It's really also good fun to learn how to pronounce all of these. So if you are a water enthusiast, I mean, really love the water, I always recommend the 10-night sailing out to the Tuamotus, where we visit Whakarava and Rangiroa. How is that?
Ooh, that sounds fantastic. Say that again.
Rangiroa and Whakarava. I don't know why, but my kids love the term Whakarava. Now, do you like to snorkel, Christy? Do you like?
I have tried it once or twice. I'm not that coordinated though.
Well, you know what? Actually, if you're someone that says, you know what, the breathing in and out, you can always just get one of the masks and just, because it's so clear. The marine life that you can see, like feet down, is just really spectacular.
Wow.
Now, here's a fun fact. So the Cook Islands are off the coast of New Zealand. They're not a part of French Polynesia, but rather Polynesia, right? So do you know when the Cook Islands gained their independence from New Zealand?
No, I do not.
1965.
Really?
How crazy is that, right?
Wow.
Now, there's a shore excursion that you can go to on, and we visit, there are 15 main islands that make up the Cook Islands, and we visit Aitutaki and Rarotonga. I love that. Aitutaki is an atoll, so you've got like snorkeling, diving, great there, and Rarotonga is more jungle clad. But you know, there's a shore excursion that if you pay just $1, they'll stamp your passport with the Cook Islands. I did invest in that stamp.
I would too.
It was worth it for sure. Now, if you're someone that has a little bit more time on your hands, we actually traverse 3 very different archipelagos: the Society Islands, the Tuamotus, because again, those are the low-lying atolls, and then out is the Marquesas. Really, the Marquesas are very rugged, very sauvage. Okay, how about this? Another fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. Our namesake, the
Mm,
Paul Gauguin, the
mm,
artist,
yes.
right? Do you know where he is? May he rest in peace.
I know he's out there somewhere.
He is out there. He's buried in the Marquesas Islands. Yeah,
So,
yeah. And then, if you're someone that says, oh my gosh, I just want to do it all, maybe you want to cross the international date line
yes.
and end up in Fiji. So you get the Society Islands, we visit Aitutaki and the Cooks, we visit the Kingdom of Tonga. And by the way, that's the first island crossing the international date line.
It's
And then
always on the news, right? On that night. It's
it
the
is.
celebration from Tonga every year.
Every year, that's right. And then some of the Fijian islands as well. Now, I don't know the status of your guests online, but if anyone is thinking about like a multi-generational kind of thing, we do
Oh,
have
it's
a
wonderful.
family. What's that?
This is wonderful for that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I took my kids a number of years ago. They're now like driving. There they are. But you know what? This is amazing to me. So at the time they were 6, 9, and 14,
Mm,
and they still talk about this trip. They never said, are we there yet? And when are we going home? It's more
mm,
like, when can we come back? When can we go back? It's
mm,
amazing. So we talked about that overwater bungalow, and
mm,
yes, and like these are one of the pictures that is not airbrushed, but how fun would that be starting off your trip? You can definitely do that if you're
mhm.
so inclined. But as we kind of wrap up where we are, but I wanted to give you some terms around, like, if you're trying to think about like, what is this destination all about? I just put up some words that talk about like what it represents and maybe what it isn't, because I know like when we think about like when an image is created, sometimes we get locked into thinking about, oh, it's only for a honeymoon, right? Or it's only for this. So anyway, these are just some terms that came to mind, that it's really very comfortable with us, but it's not overindulgent or pretentious. It's authentic, but not overrun with tourism. I think it's adventurous, but soft adventure. It's not like overwhelming. So you can pick perhaps what maybe ones you identify with. And then if you decide to go, look at all these fun people you can meet. Yes, this was from one of my trips, and it just always, whenever I talk about or I think about the places I've gone and what I've gotten to do, it just always brings a smile. So thank you again, Christy, because it's so I just love talking about the opportunity and
Yeah.
what kind of magic you can have if you explore this part of the world.
I love that list of words that you just had up there because it really can kind of dispel myths about it, but also increase your understanding with just what, a dozen words here and there. I mean, to understand that this is not a pretentious thing. Sometimes people think of luxury as it's a little hoity-toity, whatnot. This isn't that, and it's not just for couples, right? That it can be a family vacation. It can be friends. There are
Absolutely.
some great departures that also, if you are a single traveler, if you're a solo traveler,
Mhm.
most solo travelers kind of pay the price, both figuratively and literally, on a cruise, because they kind of get dinged by the overprice of having to basically pay for a cabin, even if there's only one person in it for
Mhm.
2 people. And you guys offer certain dates and certain cabin categories where there is no single supplement. That
And
dreaded single supplement isn't in the
yes,
picture.
that's huge.
It
That
is.
is
It really can
absolutely
make this place that is on your list of, I really want to go, but I couldn't possibly afford it. You
right.
can. You really
And you
can.
know what? You're talking about something that is really important, because you're talking about value, not only in the monetary sense around the value of not having to pay twice for those sailings that don't have that single supplement, but you're also talking about value where you can't necessarily put a price tag on the experience that these unique places in the world hold or offer someone should they want to do it. But again, I go back to, these dreams that, people just don't ever articulate because it's not possible. But I assure you, now that I've done this for like 14 years, I'm like, yes, it is possible.
It is possible. Well, let me ask you a few questions about the kinds of things you can do while you're there, because it's kind of obvious that because they're islands and the water's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is paradise on earth. But what are the kinds of experiences you can have on land?
Yes. So the land, I always recommend, well, there are a couple that always come to mind. There's some Jeep 4x4 kind of excursions, but I should back up. Look, if you're someone that says, you know what, I just want to tender over and walk around the little town, have at it.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost you anything,
Right.
right? Sometimes people like to just hire their own driver because they're, right there at the pier. And I do think this is one of the safest places ever. Not only because, do you remember when Iceland was had volcanic ash and
Yes.
well, we have no volcanic ash. We have no pirates, right? This is really, really a safe place. So you can do that, but a lot of 4x4s, to kind of explore the islands. I know I showed some of those early on. I also recommend, there's actually, there's one on the Moorea. It's a trek through the ancients where, they had these outdoor Polynesian temples where they're called maraes. And this is where they prayed to the gods and actually where they did the sacrifices. They're very spiritual. And as a matter of fact, as you tour them, you still cannot walk on them because they're protected. These Polynesian, they're very spiritual. And so that oh, look at the kitty. The
Sorry,
kitty wants to go away.
Cat.
Anyway, so I love that because there's a gentleman who leads this tour. It's a little bit of like hiking. There's a little bit of a tour in a Le Truck kind of type thing. And then this gentleman actually turns that into a lecture program as well the next day, because we do spend 2 days in Moorea. So yeah, it's yours for the taking and based on your desired activity level.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's great to know what else there is because there is that kind of quintessential picture of what this is in your head. What else is there to do? And like you said, there's all this cultural stuff there that again is part of the landscape that maybe as people who haven't really dived in deep to see what else is there to do besides it being one of the most beautiful places in the world to enjoy.
Right.
There is a rich tapestry of things to do there. So to go for not just maybe 7 nights, I mean, it is a long way to go. A lot of people feel like I'm going to go all that way. I'm going to spend some time really soaking it in. To spend the extra time to do the 10 night, the 12 night, those kinds of experiences. Right. There is so much to experience there. It's not just one beach after another.
Right. And you know what? You just again, it reminded me, it's like, what else is there to do? It's the 4x4 exploring the lay of the land, but there are other things that, people don't realize that the Tahitian pearl farms, they're farmed these, you've heard of the black pearl, yes. Right? Well, they now call them Tahitian pearls because people have found value in different kind of colors and the greens and the different sort of luminescence. And it's really very fascinating to understand how they're farmed. Vanilla is another thing to learn about. Here's another fun fact. Again, these are like little things that you discover when you go there. It's like, oh my gosh, I did not realize, vanilla is one of the most expensive spices in the world, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, this is no different. And part of it is that they do not have the insect or the bee to pollinate the flower or the pod.
Really?
And so they have to take the pod and hand massage it every day, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm coming back as a vanilla bean.
It's one of those things that that's only native in tropical locations, right? So it does take that extra special place.
Yes.
exercise.
exactly.
I like that.
So I know I've kept this slide up here for a few minutes, but the thing is, if you're my goal today was really just to kind of showcase a part of the world with you, Christy,
Thank you.
just to say, what, this is what opportunity awaits. And of course, it's always on, your time when it makes sense. But if you're someone that says, you know what, I'm ready, I'm getting ready to stick a toe in the water, and I'm
Yes.
really ready to start planning again. We are sailing mid-June through the rest of this year, but a lot of people are looking at sailings for next year. And
Yes.
whether it's this year or next year, if you decide to join us, everything's already included, but we'll reward you with another $100 per person shipboard credit, which can be used to offset maybe a shore excursion or that lovely spa use.
That's not a bad idea.
I know.
That's wonderful. I appreciate you offering that to my guests tonight. And I'm gonna sweeten that pot a little more myself, actually. So let me give you guys a little more information. Don't you go away, because we're gonna think of more questions to ask you, Liz.
Okay.
One of the wonderful things to do as far as traveling is to work with a travel agent, because then you don't have to worry about all the nitty gritty. You've got somebody in your corner taking care of everything for you. And if you haven't used a travel agent, or you haven't used one recently, know that there are a lot of wonderful reasons to tap into our expertise. We'll make sure that trip is tailored just for you. If you want to take advantage of certain things that are seasonal, if you want to avoid certain pitfalls, if you don't know what to know, right? You don't know what you don't know. That's why you work with an expert. And we're always paying attention for things like deals and discounts. We want to make sure it's custom tailored for you. I want you to have a stress-free experience. I want to take care of all the logistical nitty-gritty. So you just pack your suitcase, get on a plane, go and have a magnificent trip. And when you come back, I want to hear all about it. I want you to have a fantastic experience. And if you've had any travel plans in the last year or more and have had them canceled or altered or suffered through whatever, pitfalls have happened because of the pandemic, I have had the great pleasure of dealing with figuring out all of that for my clients. I take care of all those things before you go, to give you the best advice, to advise you about the rules and regulations as far as the new safety protocols. I've recently gone through an extensive amount of training to be a travel safety verified agency. And that gives me all the current, up-to-date knowledge on destinations, cruise lines, resorts, airlines, all of those cogs in the wheel of your potential vacation, so that I can give you the best advice so you can make an educated decision. It's my goal every day to make sure that my clients have the best expectations, the most accurate expectations for the trip that they really want to have, that I can perfectly craft just for them. It's a personal experience, and I work with my clients on a one-on-one basis for that. So because of all of these things, and because you guys have been so special to spend some time with Liz and I tonight, I am also offering a little bit of a goodie. If you are interested in booking any of the qualifying Paul Gauguin Cruises between now and the end of April, I will also give you a bit of a promotion, and that is an up to $250 discount from my agency for your cruise. And it is totally combinable with the offer that Liz is offering, which is great. And like she mentioned, there's always other things happening with the cruise line. She mentioned that there's an air promotion. She mentioned about the inclusivity of the cruise. Unlike a lot of other cruises, because this is a luxury experience, it does include your Wi-Fi, it includes drinks, it includes all your food. It does, nobody's nickel and diming you on this trip. This is a magnificent experience. And it's something that, if it is on that bucket list of yours, don't put off, what's that expression? Don't put
What you
off
can do today.
All right. Don't do that. We've all learned some very valuable lessons in the last 12 months. You never know what life's going to throw you. If Tahiti is on your list, let's get to talking. No pressure, honestly, ever. If you have already been on my mailing list, then you know how to get a hold of me. But if you're new, you will become a member of my mailing list. And this is how you get a hold of me. You can phone me, you can email me. By all means, go on my website. And when you do go to escapeartistholidays.com, you'll see this graphic, enter to win $5,000. We are drawing this prize in April. And if you enter it and you should win it, you could put this towards any vacation, including a Paul Gauguin cruise. By all means, follow me on social media. I'm all over the place. Tonight's presentation is being recorded and it will be on my YouTube channel by Monday. And there you can also find all the We Will Travel Again events. We've been so many places. Just last week, we were in, where were we last week? Antarctica. We've been to Japan. We've been to places all over the United States. Next week, I'm going to England. That's going to be one of my personal favorites to do. So I'll be doing all the things you can see and enjoy and experience in England. That's fun. And other future ones includes places like Peru and the Amazon. We've also got some other great US destinations coming up like California and Alaska. So there's always something to see and get inspired about. And I hope that's what you take away from tonight, that you enjoyed our presentation. Were there any comments in our little chat box? Because I have been chatting. Does anybody have any questions? Please feel free to pop them in the chat box while we're on. Liz, anything else you'd like to add to our discussion about this beautiful place in the world?
I think you have just said it so eloquently. Just the way you've set up the call, and time is, I think, of the essence in terms of why put off what we can do today. You know, I do feel like whatever experience you choose, whether it's spending time with you know, family, even in, you know, in the next town over,
Right.
It really, it's an opportunity to capitalize on something that you have not yet been able to do. And certainly should this place in the world, you know, resonate with you, we welcome you with open arms and would be delighted to have you join us sometime soon.
That's a wonderful way to say it. I know you've told me this before. I know it from various other experiences. You know, the people of this part of the world, well, a lot of parts of the world, are so welcoming, so warmly welcoming to tourists. And we did say it too, you know, part of the reason many of us love to travel is to meet people, learn about their cultures, learn new places. I mean, we all have different whys about what gets us traveling, you know, whether it's culture, history, food, wine, beautiful scenery, outdoor activities, food. Did I say food? Food. There's a lot of things that get us to get out and do the things and see the things that capture our attention, capture our hearts. And I don't want anybody to feel too stymied by 2020 so that they feel like they can't. Don't.
Yeah.
You know what? The world is you know, the situation changes all the time. Trust that it will continue to change for the better. And like I said, I've got all the information you need to make a wise decision about a great trip. So Liz, I really want to thank you so much for tonight. That was a really wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed island hopping with you tonight.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And everybody, you guys will hear from me. I'll send you guys a follow-up email about tonight's presentation. And like I said, if you have anybody else you'd like to share tonight's show with, it will be up on my YouTube channel. So I'll send you the link. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all stay well, be healthy, wear your masks. And in the meantime, and I hope to have you on my phone call list soon for a vacation. Thanks again for being here, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye, Liz.
Bye-bye.